Are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. This is my interpreter, Maya, who will be our interpreter for the podcast.
Hi, Maya. I
I just
like your
wanted to say I
sweatshirt.
really appreciate you getting back to me the past year or so, trying to find a time and everything with our discussions. Man, Chris, I mean, the last time I briefly thought you were at Christmas con, the last Christmas con, you were, I missed you about 5 minutes. I was like, so I make a note to myself, next time Chris does an event or anything, go to her land first, because Tyler can always wait.
He always waits.
Yeah, definitely. So you have been really busy with many different kinds of roles and different hats as an actor, a dad, a director, a producer, and even a writer. So we're gonna dive in a little bit of background information. I'm curious, how did you fall into the world of acting and well into the world of Hallmark?
Okay, let me shut these blinds because they're so bright.
Sure,
Hang
that's
on.
fine.
Okay, that's a little better.
Definitely.
Um, so acting, I started acting in high school in the school plays. And my very first play was a play called A Streetcar Named Desire. And I just fell in love with the experience of doing live theater. To me, it was magical, and it was a community, and it was the thing that I was very good at in high school, and it kind of made the rest of high school click for me. And so then I
Definitely, yeah. I
stayed.
mean, I remember seeing a play called Three Car Near to Die back in my college years at Gallaudet University. My friends were in the play, and I was very mesmerized with all the drama and theater. I'm not really of a drama theater person, but when it comes to college and when my friends are involved, I try to joke the point. So many plays in college I went to, I was like amazing, just seeing a deaf actor doing a deaf play and streetcar named Time was one of them that was really cool.
Wow, that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. What are some challenges you got into along the way before entering into Hallmark world where the career literally like took off with all of the movies made?
The very first thing I did was a movie called America's Prince, where I played John F. Kennedy Jr. And that led to sort of a run of TV shows. And I think the biggest one was a show called Life Unexpected for the CW. And we had 2 seasons on that. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been blessed enough to be an actor for this is my 26th year of being a professional actor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I loved all of the movies, I loved all of your work, and especially Biltmore Christmas. And when I really was very and mesmerized with the character and how you carry the role. I'm not looking at the movie, watching the character that you took at Jack Hudson. I was like, wow, he made for movies with period time or back in the past or time travel. And then when it comes to the grand old Opry Christmas, I was really stoked about the pair. I was like, okay, we have Chris, we have Nikki DeLoach, and we have a great backup background actor from Nashville. I watched the movie. I was like a Biltmore reference, you know, like going back in time with the Master Pew and the Magic Hourglass. So I want to talk a little bit more about your experience and your talent with time period and provided a role of a character.
Okay, what is your question? What do you want to know about it?
I want to know like how to prepare for it because it seems like you have like really natural talent, but any role you take in a movie, whether like a dark or deep one, or like a romance or comedy or a typical time period role. So how did you dive in and prep for any of those roles, especially for
Well,
those two movies?
first off, that's a very sweet compliment. Thank you for saying so.
It's the best. I mean, I watched it like a handful of times, and every podcast I've done in Biltmore, I was like, I have a question for you guys. No, no shade, no nothing. Have you seen the Biltmore Christmas? They were like, no, we haven't got. I was like, what are you doing right now? You have
Yeah,
to
you're
watch
like you're,
that
you're like you're
movie.
not. Yeah. I watched a bunch of movies from the 1940s. So one of my favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life. So I've seen that a lot, so I understand that one. Um, I watched a series of Cary Grant movies. I watched White Christmas. And I just wanted to understand the rhythm of the dialogue. There's something called a mid-Atlantic accent, which is a very clippy kind of quick. And so I wanted to study that. I wanted to understand the rhythm of it. And then with Jack, I just had a lot of fun as an actor creating layers of the performance. So there was Jack Houston, the actor on camera. There was Jack Houston, the actor on set, who was different, right, when he wasn't performing. And then there was the real guy who was Jack Houston, who wanted to be all these things, and was really who Lucy got to know ultimately. And it was just a really well-written script. I mean, it's the gold standard of Hallmark films. It's become a classic. Like it was an instant classic, and I knew that going into it, we were making something really special.
Before that movie, Biltmore Christmas, have you touched the Biltmore estate before, or was that your first time while you were filming that movie?
It's a great question. I'd actually been there before. I was working as an assistant to a photographer, and his book was going to be Things American, and he wanted to photograph the building. So we had seen it, but from a distance. We never went inside. So I'd been to Asheville, I'd seen the house, but being, you know, probably a mile away from it, it was up on the hill, and I was looking up at it. It was as close as I ever got. So filming there at Biltmore was my first experience there, and it was a magical week. It was or 3 weeks. We were there for a month, actually. Sorry, it was a magical month.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list. Want to start that movie. I have to go there. I have to go there, especially the library where the magic happened. I mean, I would probably watch it maybe 3 times in a row because I wanted to see what I missed. And then, okay, what is happening here? Are they going back? And then, okay, and then once I got the gist of it, I was like, this is the amazing movie. That's number one on my list during that year aside from the three wise men and the boy, which was number two. So like get in there. But it was just the most beautiful movie. And when I heard they were making a sequel to it, I was like, so I'm looking forward to see the sequel and to see what kind of a storyline it is now that we have Jack and Lucy all kind of wrapped up. And happy ending of that movie. I'm looking forward to the sequel with Alan Roden, and I can't remember the other male lead, but I'm looking forward to it.
It has nothing to do with our storyline.
I don't think that it'll probably be a whole new storyline, but that's really good. But hopefully it achieves the same kind of expectation that your Biltmore Christmas with Bethany Joy.
Yeah, we'll see. I wish him well.
What was your experience working with Bethany Joy on the Biltmore Christmas? I'm sure you guys have a lot of fun because once I saw you two on screen, there was so much good chemistry, so much banter that she was like sneaking into the movie trying to figure out, and Jack is all like, you know, sly and why we're trying to play along, trying to get to know the Lucy, but she was trying to figure out what was happening, what was going on, and how to write a new ending of the wonderful my married wife.
His merry wife. Yeah.
Yeah, my
His,
very married wife.
his merry wife. Yeah. Joy is true to her name. She is a joy. I had a blast working with her, and we became friends on that project, like bona fide friends. She and I have stayed in touch. We just spoke last week, in fact, and she did she helped me last February with a reading of of a script that I was trying to turn into a movie. Whenever a script comes along that she's right for, I reach out to her and see if she's available because I'd love to work with her again. She's a really talented actor, super smart, very creative, and she's a great collaborator. So for me, it was a good match.
I rock. My favorite part of the movie, there were two parts I should really connect and just like the part where you and Bethany Joy they sing goodbye. So every time I watch that part, I think along too. My son, like, Mom, I'm like, I have to think Jingle Bells. I mean, it was a really good moment between the two characters finding joy and trying to learn each other from Lucy, like where she comes from and what her purpose was, and her helping Jack find his purpose. Because towards the end of the movie, I was all like, okay, what's going on? Where's Jack? I was trying to figure out like, did he die or did he go missing? And then by the end of the movie it happened, I was like, aha, that's how the story ends. So I just really love the concept of it. Like you said, it was beautifully written and
Yeah,
beautifully executed with the location, with the wardrobe. I can't say anything
great.
more about it.
You know, it's funny, the Jingle Bells song that you like so much. I had my sons had a music teacher in middle school. Her name was Kim Harris, and she now teaches in Pennsylvania. She's a wonderful person. And she taught me a version of Jingle Bells. She gave me the sheet music for it, and I had a piano brought in to my hotel room, and every day I would practice Jingle Bells. So I played that, and Bethany Joy was on the other side. She was in a room next door to me, so she could hear me practicing every day. She was like, "Oh my God!" And then eventually we practiced together, and uh, I think we shot that scene the third week of production. So we had there was time for me to learn it and really work on it. And when we shot that, it was basically we shot it in one take. They had a big camera that was, catching the room and the fireplaces. And then they had that closer angle that caught us. No one could see my hands playing, but if you did, you would see me actually playing the piano. But that was a lot of fun. We wanted to really blow it up and we wanted to do a good job with that song because she's a singer, and I think Joy cares, right? She wanted to make it sound good, and then I care because I want to make a good movie. And Jack would know how to sing a song like that. So that was a really fun scene to work on and to perform.
Yeah. I heard from another interview, or I'm not sure what the article, when Biltmore Christmas came out, and shortly after, I think the shift. Okay, and I heard you were like filming back to back, like with your hectic schedule, like you were like going between two places, or was it from the Biltmore, all down with the Biltmore, you shift to the shift, or I want to hear about your experience with
Yeah,
that
it
because
was I had one weekend off, so I wrapped Biltmore Christmas. I worked on that for 3 weeks. And then I had one week, like as soon as I wrapped on Friday, I went to Birmingham, Alabama. And on Saturday, I was in a costume fitting on Sunday, and went to camera for the shift on Monday. So I didn't even have a day off in between the wrapping of Biltmore and the beginning of the shift. I went straight into pre-production and then shot 5 weeks of the shift. And so I worked, that was 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks solid. That was good. I prefer it like that. If I could load up my schedule with gigs back to back to back, I'd be a very happy actor.
yeah, definitely. Because when I
That's what
heard about that, I
2025
was
was.
like, how can he do that? How? I mean, I give kudos to all the actors and doing big movies, filming, whatever, and back to back. Like one director, I think it was Colin Deed. he filmed two movies back to back, which was Polar Opposite and the Machu Picchu Proposal. They went from that location straight to Peru and then straight to another movie. So I'm like, I can't do that back to back teaching or back to back IDP meetings. I've done back to back IDP meetings. Never again. Just starting. So kudos to you for that. It's
Mm.
just
Thank you
amazing.
very
It's just
much. Thank
amazing
you.
with Biltmore Christmas and the shift to exceptional movie for different reasons and different purposes. I mean, I watched the shift maybe a handful of times too. I read a really Brock book, and I had the opportunity of talking with Brock about picking and what is the purpose, what is the message behind the shift. Because every time I watch the movie or read the book, I find something new. I'd be like, okay. And I would text my friend Aiden. I'd be like, why isn't there a blank page in the book? She goes, think about it. Think about it. I was like, okay, I'm not really a faith person, but I tried to learn. I tried to be open-minded to it. And then once I got to it, I was like, oh my God. She goes, right. So I want to talk about your experience making the shift because everybody in that movie outstanding. I was terrified by the benefactor. I did not like him one bit. I just said, what are you doing in the cabin? What are you doing in the cabin? Help him find it, Molly, please.
It was a wonderful experience. I remember getting the script in the greenhouse at Biltmore. I was filming and Joy, it was funny. We were filming the poinsettia scene, and my agents called and said, there's an offer for you to come in and perform in another movie. And it starts, the dates work literally that you would start the day after. And I read it. Um, the next day, I was dressed up in the tuxedo. It was that big ballroom scene that we were filming, and I was in the front of the Biltmore house, and I was standing against this wall, and I just read the entirety of the shift in one sitting, and I saw the whole movie play out in my head, and I was like, yeah, this is a really special film and very challenging. It's spiritually, philosophically sort of asking the question, what are you willing to do? Um, what are you willing to suffer and not lose your faith? Like how far are you willing to go without losing your faith? And this man suffers and he goes to the ends of every universe to try to find the woman that he loves. And the ending is really confounding for people because it isn't his original Molly. It's a different Molly, but it's a version of Molly that is also like the version of Kevin, and they find each other. So the Molly that Kevin was with originally wasn't his Molly. It was still this version of her. So when he sees her again in the shopping market and he sees her wearing the pendant and he says, if there is a
Mm.
version of you that feels like that can work, that's who I'm looking for. And that scene was filmed the second day I was on set. And so, I mean, I had very little time to learn 7 pages of dialogue. And the first day on set was 9 pages of dialogue with the benefactor. And we did that whole scene in the dining room where he shifts the waitress and Kevin realizes he's in a whole nother world. So it was definitely I was shot out of a cannon. But what I love about The Shift is that it is a movie that continues to find new audiences and it continues to rank. Like we've been in the top 5 on the Angel streaming platform for the past year. So, every quarter we're in the top 5 streamed movies there. And in fact, Angel just picked up Where Hope Grows. So if you were to stream Angel, you can watch The Shift and Where Hope Grows. And so there's a whole bunch of, my faith films are starting to land on that platform, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I rock with Hope Grown. It's another fantastic movie, too. Because I like watching movies related with faith or redemption or second chance of proving yourself. Like, if an accident happens that impacts yourself or your family or alcoholism or some kind of mental health issues.
right.
And of course, I mean, you don't get it better unless you really hit rock bottom or you admit to yourself, okay, I'm in trouble. I need help. how do I redump myself? So that movie was very good. It wasn't really hard for me to watch, but it was hard to grasp that. I'm like watching, I'm like, wow, Chris from A Dated Tannenbach, from A Biltmore Christmas, from what movie you've been in the movie, in the war. Amazing. You really knocked it out of the park with that role. I mean, you were like struggling, you were stubborn, you were struggling to no, I don't have a problem. You keep going, and then you hit rock bottom. So that movie was just really good, and it showed that people can have second chances if
Yeah,
they put the effort or the work in it. If they don't, that's hard.
I believe that. I believe that people can change. I really do. And I believe there's a God that loves us so much that he makes all things new again. And you just have to want to change.
Yeah, just out of all of these movies, non-Hallmark or different network, I'm curious, what is the process like? Is the filming process like for the Hallmark movies and the shift? Is the filming process or the making process different? Because the shift is from a private production company, the Angel production company, while Hallmark is a bigger network. So I'm curious about the process and the schedule or the timeline of making a film.
Well, we had a lot more money to make the shift, and we had a lot more time to make the shift. And so the process was slower and more deliberate. Whereas with a Hallmark movie, it's more of like a television episode. And so you're jamming out 2 hours of film in basically 3 weeks, 15 days. So it's a very quick shoot period. And the budgets are different. So you're also kind of you're making do with what you can afford.
They're allowed to get more time because like sometimes like the shift, how many deals was it making, right? Compared to Hallmark movie, 2 weeks, 3 weeks top to
Well,
film the
it was
movie.
3 weeks for a Hallmark movie, 5 weeks for the
Okay.
shift. So not much longer, but those 10 days translates to just same page count. So you imagine you're still shooting 100 pages, but you're in a Hallmark movie, you're shooting 100 pages in 15 days. Whereas in the shift, we were shooting 100 pages in 25 days. So it just kind of
Yeah,
allows you to breathe a
I
little
was
bit.
curious because sometimes with private companies or small production companies, sometimes they take years to come up with script, the budget, the location. So I was just curious about the difference with Hallmark and the chip. Did you
Wonder
have
Woman,
different locations for
Wonder
Hallmark?
Woman, yeah, Wonder Woman and Jurassic World each took 6 months to film. So that's even more time and money.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, because like at the weekend, the movie took I don't know how many years to make that before. So every movie or every production company is different. So I was interested to learn about that. Did
Hmm.
you have a favorite filming location? Like out of all of the projects, what was your most cherished or your favorite location to film?
I think the most fantastic location I've ever been to was Iceland. It was just magical from the northern lights to the waterfalls to the people to the terrain, the geography itself. It was just this windswept island of ice and rock and volcanic,
It was
you know.
also another good movie. I really loved the location, like the scenery or the culture. The got so lucky with all the travel destinations and just to absorb their environment, their culture, the history. So it was really a fantastic movie too, learning about the history or the goat or the traditions or the stories. And again, you and Lacey were really wonderful in that movie. And I heard it you mentioned in one of my friends' podcasts, I think it was Crown the Heart, about the Northern Light. I mean, we do have a little bit of Northern Light here, so I was just there from here. And one time, I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times. I
Where
think about that.
where are
The
you
second
from?
time, my friend was like, go outside. And I went outside, used my phone, normal camera. And all of a sudden, I see pink. I was like, what? Just beautiful. My aunt
Yeah.
lives in Alaska, so she sees them all the time. I was like, I need to go to Alaska or Iceland sometimes just to see it in real time, even though I've seen them in Wisconsin, but they're not great like they are up north.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Wisconsin. I live in the
Wisconsin.
Milwaukee
Okay.
area.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
hit or miss. Sometimes I would see the northern lights, but it's always happening during the school week. I told my friend that I'm not staying up until past 9:30 just to see that because I work tomorrow. But there was a couple in the summertime. I was like, I don't have anything going on tomorrow. So I stayed up until like 11, 12, capturing the different time moment, the brightness. Amazing.
It
I
is
got
beautiful.
purple,
Yeah.
blue, green, pink.
It's amazing. They're amazing. Yeah. Well, the story I told on that other show is that my son turned 18 and we hadn't seen the Northern Lights. All week they were there and they're like, I thought you said they were every night. I was like, they're not. And they just were hiding from us. And then on the stroke of midnight, as he turned 18 years old, boom, the lights just exploded in the sky. And they just did that thing where they undulate above you in ribbons and it's like looking at a lake and watching the sun shine through the water but upside down. Um, you know that Mimics is going to be in theaters in Milwaukee. I found out we have there in Milwaukee they're going to have a screen. We only have 120 screens right now. We're trying to get as many as we can to I thought we were going to have 400, but apparently it's a lot harder to get screens than I thought. But we are plugging away at getting as many screens as we can, and Milwaukee has one of them.
Okay, that's good to know because I was a deer, but I got invited from Aiden that me and my friend who lived in Kenosha, 50 minutes away, to Valentine's Day. I was like, okay, maybe I could celebrate Valentine's Day with my husband the night before, and then zoom to Chicago with the Polaha tribe and watch the movie. If that doesn't happen, I'm gonna drive around in Milwaukee, find the movie and Rochester. So definitely, I'm not Milwaukee. I'm gonna have to look that up. Definitely,
Good.
definitely. Before we dive into Mimic, I want to talk about your experience about the Grand Ole Opry Christmas. It's another fantastic movie. I mean, when I heard about you and Nikki, I'm like, this is gonna be another good one. This is gonna be one of the blockbuster ones. And I heard it was a little bit personal for both of you because both of you have somewhat of a musical background and of course Nashville is the music capital of the world. And the Opry is obviously a big sensation because of its history and it's pretty much where everybody starts with music there before branching off into bigger platforms.
It was amazing. Nikki had a really cool story about the Grand Ole Opry. Mine was a little less personal, but my son is a singer-songwriter, and he basically I hired him to be my assistant that week. Hired him. He didn't get paid. He just came and did it for me. But he um he I wanted him to meet everybody, all the musicians, and I wanted him to have conversations and just be a part of that experience. And then one night when we were just filming, Nikki and I, he went into the dressing room at the Grand Ole Opry and he ended up writing a song. And he said in the morning, he's like, hey, maybe one day I'll play this song on the stage. So he has aspirations to play on that stage one day. And I think for Caleb, it was really special. And so for me, that meant the world to be able to afford him that opportunity. And who knows, like it's a space and but it's a community and it's people and there's history there. And I think that as artists, we try to find little things to connect with that are real and tangible. And they almost become sources of energy for us as artists. And we get to develop ideas and we get to blossom projects out of these little tiny moments. So maybe for Caleb, spending the night in the Grand Ole Opry with his dad a couple times in the summer of 2025 will bear some fruit in his life later on musically.
Yeah, I learned so much with the history and the magic, and I thought it was really cool when they portrayed at the beginning of the movie the black circle in the center of the stage. That was like part of the old Opry museum or
It's
building.
so the original stage is the Ryman, which is in downtown Nashville. And in 1972, and so it used to be in a barn, and it was a radio station. The Grand Ole Opry was always a radio station, and the radio station is turning 100 years old, or turned 100 years old back in November. Literally when we aired, it was the timing of it was awesome. It was like a perfect thing. And so they're in their 100th year right now, and they started in a barn, and then they aired out of the Ryman, and people used to play on the Ryman stage, and then they built in 72 the Grand Ole Opry out in Opryland. So they created like a whole destination for it. But they took the center of the Ryman stage with them. And so those boards are the original boards that like Johnny Cash and Elvis Presley and I mean, you name it, people perform. Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, Hank Williams. I mean, there's just the list goes on of Bill Anderson. I mean, the list just keeps going of the people who performed on that stage.
That's amazing. Hope had Caleb run into the circle for some pure luck for his musical career.
You know what? He did like the girl in the movie did. He was like, I got to be invited into the circle. And so he never walked into the circle. He stayed out of it.
Oh, hopefully one day in the future he will be invited just to stand in that middle of the circle and just to be able to share his music with the rest of the world in the Opry.
Exactly.
All right, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to be a producer or director or an actor based on many talents and hats you wear?
I mean, I really love being a part of telling the story on a creative level. So being a producer scratches a lot of itches for me because it's just fun to be a decision maker and to say, yeah, let's go this way or let's do this or and a problem solver, both logistically, uh, financially, you know, but also creatively and story wise. Like it's really fun to be able to speak into a story. I love directing, and I've been a director my whole life. I really have. It's been something I've done as a kid with my VHS camera. I used to shoot to edit, like edit in camera, little things. I'd capture all sorts of little movies, tell stories. And then in college would write things and have my friends in them and, started a theater company and directed a play. Um, and as I got older, it just got, my generation didn't have phones like this. We didn't have the access to making movies, uh, Premiere Pro was not available. It all used to be on film, and you have to like develop the film, and then you'd have to cut the film, and you'd have to edit by cutting and taping it together. And like it was a really complex process. And it's been completely disrupted and revolutionized within my lifetime. So when I was 20, it just it wasn't available, the idea of making a short film or making a movie. It took a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of actual the work of film and developing. And so people that had to know, their equipment. Now it's so different. Now you can just pick up a camera and go for it. And um, so it still takes a lot of money and it still takes a lot of time to do it right, but the ability to just get it and make your movies. So I think you're going to see a lot more direction from me in the future. Um, because again, and the directing is going to, I think, naturally parlay into producing, because if I'm going to generate something, I want to generate it myself. And then acting is my first love. I love it, love it, love it. So I'll never give that up. I would love to have a career like Clint Eastwood had, or like George Clooney has, like these guys who act and who get to do their thing as actors, but who also know how to jump behind a camera and tell stories. And one of the joys of Mimics was actually watching a lot of the people I'd hired do their scenes And I was watching it being like, and there's a lot of me in this, and that's fun, but I'd really like to do one where there's a lot less of me and a lot more of other people and really enjoy the process of bringing stuff out of people that they normally don't get to use.
Mm, okay. What is your dream world out of all of the work you played on movies, TV series, or outside of Hallmark? You have like a dream world that you want to portray, or a kind of a movie you want to be involved in.
I really don't. There's a couple roles I'd love to play. I'd love to portray George Washington. I don't think there's been a great movie made about George Washington yet. And I'd love to portray Jack Kerouac, and tell his story as a beatnik and a writer. But no, I'm not like, I don't have a Moby Dick. I'm not a Captain Ahab with this one sort of project or one role that's out there. I love just kind of seeing where it goes, seeing where the wind takes me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after watching all of the work or project, I think you pretty much could take on any role, really, any role, because you seem to shift your hat or like try to do it the best that you can with what role, like some of the deep work for a faith movie, that cabin, or from where hope grows, and then boom, become a romantic guy in Hallmark movies. You have what it takes to pretty much to play or portray any character.
Well, wait till you see American Hostage on MGM Plus. When you see that, that's a totally different. It's what I'm filming right now, in fact, and I'm in Winnipeg filming it. And it's intense. It's a very good show. It's got John Hamm in it. It's got Giovanni Ribisi in it, and it's a very, very adult, heavy, heavy, intense television show about a hostage situation that takes place in 1977. Over the course of 63 hours, a man is held hostage. Um, and it's a really fascinating, extremely well written television show. It's like a limited series.
I'm gonna have to look into that, see what I think. That part of the whole thing, I want to learn more about your movie Mimic. How did
Mimics.
it start? I mean, I'm seeing teasers or posters or some tidbits about it, but I want to hear it from you. Like, how did it start? The idea and what was the process like? Because I'm sure it took a long time to finally get it out there, be ready for the public to see.
It has been a very long and enjoyable process. I first got pitched the idea back in 2020 by a guy named Mark Oakley, who I went to elementary school with. We went to school together. And he reached out over Facebook, and I said, "That's a wonderful idea, but really you have to write the script and see if that's any good." And he did. And then we spent 4 years polishing the script up, and then we started asking people for money. And we just literally did the thing where we just blindly asked for investors to fundraise, to invest. And we got some yeses, and then it was just kind of one yes after another after another. And in the I guess winter of 2024, February of 2024, we got our first investment, which then led to our second, which then led to going into pre-production in May, which led to camera June 10th. We wrapped June 28th, so like a Hallmark movie. We shot it in 15 days. And then we jumped into post-production, and that has been its own roller coaster. And, every step of the way, there's always a complication. It's always entirely frustrating. There's been a few moments where I thought this thing's going to blow up and no, it's never going to see the light of day. And then, I'd take a deep breath and a day would go by and the problem would work itself out, or we'd find a solution for it. Um, and even now, as we're pushing into theaters, I'm realizing just how hard it is to bring a movie to the public. I mean, every step of the way, there are gatekeepers and obstacles, and it's expensive. So if you have a lot of money, you could do anything. But without a lot of money, your hands are tied, and you're depending on people, electing to put it in theaters or saying, "Yeah, we're going to give you this many, or we'll we'll put you here. And then people like who are watching this right now, you got to get online and you got to find out where it's playing and buy tickets. But the pre-order tickets are important because it's indicating to the industry, to the theater owners, that there's an interest for this movie, and then it'll go into more theaters. So it's kind of a chain. There's like a chain of a chain reaction kind of thing happening.
Yeah, with Mimic, I know you mentioned post-production was kind of like a roller coaster. What was the reason for post-production with the roller coaster? Like with editing, trying to get the perfect frame, or trying to get the movie flown. And if there was something that it didn't work out, that you expected how to do overcome it or make it work.
Well, the funny thing about Mimics is that the easiest part of Mimics was getting it made. So the easiest part was the fundraising happened very, very seamlessly. The filming of the movie happened very, very seamlessly. I mean, there were a few little things, on the set where I was like, that's frustrating, but none of it was make or break. Um, I'm extremely flexible. So when we lost locations, I was like, great, we'll just shoot somewhere else. And I never, I think that's an asset it's a quality that I'm grateful that I possess because I know a lot of people who just get kind of set in there. They want to see it the way they want to see it and they can't bend. And I was like, I don't care. I want to get the thing done. And this very sort of fluid attitude has been with me the whole process. So every time we meet an obstacle, my attitude is like, hey, my goal is to just get it into the audience's hands. I just want people to see it. So whatever that means, let's just do that. Um, but there's so many outsiders that have to weigh in. And every step of the way, there's somebody who can say, yes, we want this to go to the next level, or no, this isn't for us. And so I think the biggest ups and downs were always those threshold moments where we had to cross into a new sort of part of the movie making process. So the edit was amazing. Like it was my friend Barry Wise and I, and we spent the better part of 8 months just working on this script and I mean working on the film. And we would move scenes and we'd knock the head off a scene or knock the tail off a scene and we would put different scenes juxtaposed next to each other. And we kept playing with this movie as if it were a puzzle. And then we showed it to different audiences. We showed it to a group in LA of filmmakers. We showed it to a small group in Nashville of students. And each time we got these incredible notes and some very important feedback. And then we would go back into the edit and we would adjust and tighten the script and make it even, or sorry, tighten the movie and make it even tighter until finally we ended up with this movie that just feels like it's on rails from the beginning till the end. And we premiered, our festival premiere was in Reno, Nevada at the Cordillera Film Festival in September. Oh, there's a cat behind you. Hi,
And then I
kitty.
said, damn, it's my
Hi,
daughter's cat.
hi,
Damn.
Sam.
It's the
Um,
female, the nice one. The other one is over there somewhere. That's my husband's cat.
just
Got
ignoring
two
us.
cats and two dogs, so we're good.
But in September, the audience that came to see the movie, it was an overwhelmingly positive reaction. Like people were losing their minds. And it was just a great indicator to Ken Carpenter, who produced the movie with me, um, that we were sitting on something very special. So again, it's really just about getting people to know to go see it because I know it's a good movie and I know it's a lot of fun and I know that it's brand new, like intellectual property, like IP. Everyone's always complaining, like, well, there's just reruns or it's reboots of old movies. And I'm like, well, here's something totally brand new. And it's totally independent. And I'm trying to do it for a theatrical release. So all of the things that people are complaining about, I'm like, here's a new thing. It's just literally we got to get people in the theaters to see it. And so far the response has been great. There's no problem with it so far. So, but we're getting close, February 13th, and we'll see what happens.
Definitely, definitely. I'm gonna try to, if I could find a location or whatever it is in Milwaukee, I'm gonna try to fly
I'm at, I'm
and
I'm
go
even
with
gonna
them.
for the
Yeah.
diehard fans, I'm gonna even suggest people go online. If there's not a movie theater that's close to you, just go online and buy 2 tickets. Even if you don't go to see the movie, like just even buying the tickets indicates. And then what happens is if those the showcases, the movies that are playing, if they get sold out, then that's just going to explode and expand our footprint in theaters. And so we'll stay for the second weekend, we'll go into more theaters, and then eventually it'll get to the point where you can't just go to your local theater and see it.
Definitely,
Or
definitely.
it'll drop out of theaters and it'll go to streaming, which is the next thing anyway. So, it is what it is. It's on rails now, and the rest is up to God. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, sometimes I will try to find movies that are on a theater to see Amazon with free, but they're like pre-order available. I'm not, I have to wait because sometimes I don't really have a lot of time to do theater because I'm an Uber driver for my daughter for work, and I have all of these parent obligations after school or during the week. Sometimes the weekend, we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna try to make sure that weekend I will have my Mimics shirt. I ordered it today, and I will go to that movie for sure.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Kat.
All right, Chris, I know last time we talked when I was in Hawaii and it was with your friend Anna. Any updates about those books? Because I think I'm going to start rereading the first and the second book maybe a couple of weeks just to get the feel for it because I think they're both beautiful stories. So if there's any updates that you could share about the book or movies that you guys were
There,
actually planning.
there are really no updates at this moment. I think the shop is closed temporarily, but the books exist and they are beautiful. And I look back on that moment where we were, working on those books, and it was just such a rich chapter of time and in my life, and it was such a joy to write those books. And we both have every intention of wanting to jump back in, and they just didn't make they never crossed the threshold of making enough money. So it was more, you know what I mean? It was a bigger expense to get them made than it was. So the business is why keep going if they don't make money. So it's hard. I mean, it's being creative is really hard. It's really a challenge. Um, Everybody up and down the line, I don't care who you talk to, the bigger the higher the levels, the bigger the devils. It's like the more something costs to make, the more money it has to make. So the stakes are high for a Mission Impossible, just as they are for Mimics. I mean, there's never a guarantee. And I think if you're an artist, one of the things you have to know is that it's just about doing the thing that you love, regardless of the outcome. If you love it, just tell your stories. If you love it, write the book. If you love it, make the movie. If you love it, write the song. And you'll find your audience. And then money comes when money's supposed to come, and success hits when it hits. And it's all, it's funny how you have to be very just kind of relaxed and easy with the whole process.
Definitely, definitely. Last question. I'm just curious. I asked everybody that. I'm just curious, like yourself, how do you balance yourself with family, with movie project, time off, band conventions, Hallmark cruise, Christmas card, Hallmark Christmas experience, and your own cruise with BJ was the last one, and
I didn't
upcoming
do that
events.
one. Yeah, I didn't go
No,
on that one. Yeah,
that
there
was
was a few things.
Andrew.
It was Victor. Victor Webster did that.
Victor. I'm like, so many Hallmark cards are happening. How can I have food? I was like, I can't keep track of everything. I'm just gonna go to Christmas time. I'm gonna go to Kansas City. By the time I'm retired, maybe I'll go on one of the Hallmark cruise and to help
It's
to find
fun.
the time and the balance because I know you're a family man and obviously family number one to you to have with all of these things, hectic schedules, how do you make it work? Family things, family
Well, a lot of
travels.
times, yeah, the family travels with me a lot of times. So they got to come to Montana this summer, and then I shot up to Seattle for a couple weeks, but then I would go back home, and then Caleb came with me to Nashville. This last stretch has been a bit longer, but even that, we find time to, I talk to my family every single day. I call my kid on his way, or they call me when Jude's on his way to school, and I talk to him on the way to school, and we pray. He'll call me at lunch. Whenever my wife calls, I am 99.9% of the time will answer every time she calls. On a rare occasion, do I have to, will I not hang up the call I'm on to grab her call? But we just prioritize each other. Um, and I think that's kind of the way you have to go. And then there's a flow. remember, I didn't work at all in 2024. So I had a whole year at home. And that's a lot of time. And even with you and your husband, you'd be like, "Hey babe, it's time to go work." So it's like 2023 was very busy and then all of a sudden it wasn't because of the pandemic. And then 2024 wasn't. And then I did Iceland, but they came with me. I did Mimics, but they came with me. And then it wasn't like I didn't work that much. So like last year was just a really productive year and my family understood. They were like, "Yeah, go do your thing, Daddy. Like, make it happen." And then as far as the books and as far as all the other, they don't really, they don't really take the fan events are a weekend. You go and you just hang out for a weekend. It's not that big of a commitment. The books, I would wake up before everybody else did, and I would put about 2 hours worth of writing in, and then I'd be up for my kids. I'd take them to school, and then I'd be there for Julian. Like it was a really beautiful process to be able to write those. Or quarantine was happening. And so I had 15 days where I was locked in a hotel and I would just spend 15 days writing. You can get a lot done in 15 days. So, um, yeah, it's all been pretty good.
Definitely, yeah. Last thing I really wanted to say, I really appreciate your time and your effort that you give back to the band and the community during COVID, where Polaha Chautauqua was born. When I heard about it, I was popping. Sometimes I stay for the whole thing, sometimes I would just stay and then come back pop in because I'm a mom. My kids are like, "Mom, I need you." I want to watch it. I want to, like connect. So I really appreciate your time, your willingness to be able to connect with band or viewers, or just be able to have a general conversation like, "Hey, I'm popping on here just to see how everybody's doing, being quarantined, being home 24/7, can't go out. Is everybody okay? Is everybody drunkling? Pop on, let's have a chat." So I really want to say I appreciate all of that because not everybody will do a theme from you, a theme from Paul Green, a theme a little bit from all of the stars, just to suck in and just be human for one, not an actor, not a writer, not a director, quick,
Yeah.
cat. And then it was just a beautiful thing. And then,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, I felt satisfied. And I felt that, oh, it come to an end. Will it happen again in the future? Because I know that time when I need time with my family. I need to step back from social media or filming to take time for myself, and I really appreciate you did that because I tell every actor I see at the event or on the podcast, make sure you have time for yourself. I mean, I appreciate you doing this for us, for your band, but you also have to think about yourself and your family.
Right. No, it's important. And I also just think there's a flow, there's an ebb and a flow to everything. If it was always high tide, you know, we'd be wet. But you got to have the low tide and nice beaches and calm waves. And then you get that high tide again and it's busy season. It's, even like with seasonal with different crops, right? Things lay fallow for a while and then all of a sudden you got a good yield and then things lay fallow for a while. Then you got a good yield. So I love that rhythm. I love finding that rhythm of productivity and then rest and productivity and rest. And
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I have a question from one of my friends who had a bundle booth over at the Christmas County Band called Shaping Self-Care. She also has a couple of Polaha ornaments with movies or Biltmore or whatever. She wants to donate all of the profit from those ornaments to a charity of your choice. So if you have any
Mm,
charity you want to donate the profit from her ornament.
that's amazing. Yes, send them to the Down Syndrome Network of Northern Nevada. The Down Syndrome Network of Northern Nevada.
Down syndrome, North
Network?
Nevada. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I message you after that to get all of that information. I'll share that with her because she had a little bit left over from Christmas Con and she's making some. She was like, "Please add Chris what charities or he wants because all the profit will go to that." So I
That's
will share that
amazing.
with her.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Anytime, not a problem. Now, 2026. a brand new year into any project that we hope to see you on the Hallmark screen to get a tide for Mimic in 2026.
Well, you're going to see in 2026, you're going to see American Hostage come to your small screen through MGM Plus. And again, that's it's going to be a hold on to your hats because it's one heck of a ride. And then we'll see what God's got for me. I know there's going to be some stuff down the pipe. We'll see what it is.
Definitely, fingers crossed we get you back on the Hallmark screen because you could really play any role and just be any character you could be. I mean, I'm in love with all of the movies, especially Mystery 101.
I
Broke my
know.
heart when it ended. I was like, this can't be over for
I know.
Amy and Travis. So fingers crossed something will happen or wrap up the whole shenanigans or love between Travis and Amy. But it was beautiful.
Ah, thank you, Kat.
Thank you again, Chris. Thank you so much for finding the time and making work it out schedule for coming on to the Cat Chat podcast. I really appreciate it.
Of course, it was my pleasure to be here today, Kat, and chat with you on the podcast.
Definitely. Hopefully one day in the future we'll be able to meet officially in person at one of the events.
One
My
day.
plan, yeah, my plan this year is going to go to Kansas City for 2 weekends because it's an 8 hour drive for me. So
That's not
not that
bad.
bad. I
Yeah.
might not do Christmas con, so Kansas City once I get all the information, who's going to be there on which weekend. I'm going to be like, okay, I can make it work. Finally get to meet Chris because that 5 minutes on that Christmas con, I was just so like,
Well, I don't know what happened because if there's a line, I just wait and I wait until my line is empty. Like they can close it.
what really happened, I was in Thailand. I was maybe 2 or 3 people in front of Tyler. So I was really close by. I looked over. You were getting ready to wrap up, ready to go. I'm like looking back. I'm like, he's right there. And then the people walk in front. I'm like, I told my friend Sandra and Chris, just give me 1 minute. And I ran like in the middle of the slum floor. You walked in to the back of the snack area. I was like, Chris, that's okay. God will make sure I meet him in person. I'm walking back. Chris is down there like, what? The door's closed. And I, Tyler, I was like, it's
You
okay.
made your
Another
choice
time,
though.
and
You
then
made
Chris
you
was
had to you
coming
made
next
a
year. I was like,
choice. You
Chris is not in the lineup. Why? Why? But
Yeah, they've stopped
again,
asking me to come. I don't know why. They haven't asked me to come for the last 2 years. So,
I talked with him this year. I'm like, 2026, we got to get him back here. And
well,
I'll be the first person to go into line. I'll hold up the line for 30 minutes.
we'll see. We'll see. Um, we'll see what happens with those things as we move forward. But it's such a pleasure being here with you today, and I'm glad we had the time. And I know people will enjoy this chat.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait to watch Mimic and just talk about it. It was fun. Do a review. So it's something to look forward to on Valentine's Day. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's going to be it's a really fun movie. I can't wait for people to watch it. It's special.
Thank you so much, Chris. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Kat. You too. And thank you, Mia.
Have a good
Appreciate it. Did I
one.
say your name right? Did I get it right, Mia?
It's Maya.
Maya, of course. Maya. Nice to meet you guys. All right. Bye,
All right,
ladies.
take care, Chris. Bye bye.
Bye.